Hello everyone, we just received our latest report from the higher scientific community in Switzerland, FIGU, as follows. What there is to say about the coronavirus and what there is to note fundamentally. The same applies to all highly contagious diseases. Avoid airplanes, ships, mass transportation and large crowds whenever possible and stay at home rather than expose yourself to the risk of infection. What is the origin of the coronavirus and what is its specific? The coronavirus, or SARS-CoV-2, is a mutation of the well-known SARS virus, which in turn caused around 1,000 officially confirmed cases, that is deaths, in the 2002-2003 epidemic. The Chinese horseshoe-nose avian mammals, bats, are carriers of the SARS virus, which corresponds to a coronavirus strain. But they themselves do not fall ill and are immune to the virus. The current SARS-CoV-2 virus, or coronavirus as it is popularly called, was accidentally and unintentionally taken from 2 secret laboratories in Wuhan and set free. 2 of the secret lab technicians have since died of the novel lung disease, and these 2 people spread the coronavirus to several other people, causing the disease to spread quickly. According to our reporter, the coronavirus, or SARS-CoV-2, which has recently been called COVID-19, is especially life-threatening for Chinese and Southeast Asians because all Chinese tribes have a completely different immune system than, for example, the European, English and Eurasians who have conquered America, Australia and New Zealand, etc., whereby they also mingled with the locals through the conquests, resulting in new immune system changes that were stronger or weaker than originally. Our reporter explained that the fact that the immune systems are ethnically different makes some of them more susceptible and others more resistant to the diseases and epidemics, which was unknown to earthly medical scientists. To date, February 23, 2020, there have already been officially 2,442 confirmed deaths in China. Or a reporter says, however, the real number is much higher in all of China, which is being kept secret, and additionally 19 deaths worldwide as a result of the disease. China itself reports around 70,000 illnesses, while 1,500 infections are active outside of China worldwide, but this is not entirely true, as our reporter also explains in this regard. Outside of China, South Korea has been hit hardest with 600 infected so far. However, as mentioned, it can be assumed that the number of infections and deaths is much higher and that it is also much more widespread than has been known to date, because both China and other affected countries are doing everything possible for political and economic reasons to conceal the real numbers. So it can be assumed that COVID-19 is much worse and more dangerous than the SARS epidemic of 2002-2003, contrary to what certain scientists, experts and the WHO claim so far. The coronavirus, or COVID-19, is a new type of lung disease against which there are no medicines yet. That is to say, not in our traditional medical world. It causes atypical pneumonia, which can be mild or fatal, with fatalities particularly related to the Chinese people and their resulting mixing with other peoples. But other Asian peoples are also much more at risk than the Europeans. However, how contagious is the coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, and how long is the incubation period? The coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 is highly contagious. Obviously, this applies particularly to the Chinese, but also to other Southeast Asian peoples. It can be transmitted from person to person via the air or through clothing. As our reporter says, contrary to the data by the WHO, the incubation period is not 2 weeks, but according to his information from our reporter, this time should be calculated up to 4 weeks, or in some cases even up to 3 months. Infected people, by whom the disease has not yet broken out, remain during the whole time, from the moment of infection until the moment of complete healing, potential carriers of the disease all the time. If it breaks out at all, meaning that they are contagious during the whole extent of the period and can transfer the disease to other people. In this regard, it is the same with the HI virus, which can also be transmitted by an infected person at any time, even if AIDS has not yet broken out. When and with whom does the disease break out? If and when the disease, COVID-2, comes to appearance, breaks out, and a person depends on the strength and stability of his immune system. Because on the basis of what our reporter explains, the immune systems differ from people to people and from race to race. The current coronavirus, that is to say SARS-CoV-2, affects the Chinese as well as the Southeast Asian countries bordering on China, for example North and South Korea, Laos, Thailand, Vietnam, Japan, Myanmar and Burma, etc. worst because the immune system of these people is less stable to the virus than that of other peoples, such as the Europeans, who for them is usually generally milder. So for them it is usually generally milder and cause flu-like or pneumonia-like diseases that are not necessarily fatal. However, if Europeans already have immune deficiencies, then the coronavirus also becomes dangerous for them and can quickly lead to death. Basically, our reporter explained that interbreeding of people should above all be avoided because they generally negatively affect the immune system of the offspring. Although in exceptional cases it is also possible to influence it positively, but this cannot be predicted. Any mix of people from different races inevitably changes the immune system, weakens or strengthens it as necessary. So the immune system of a member of a people with a stronger and more stable or much weaker immune system can transmit it positively or negatively. A weakening can also be caused by a longer or shorter stay in a country whose people have a weaker or more unstable immune system, which is why traveling to distant countries also involves certain dangers in this regard. How can I protect myself against being infected with the coronavirus SARS-CoV-2? In this case, reliable infection protection is only possible with a full-body protective suit with an independent breathing apparatus, such as the one, for example, also used by the medical personnel for the Ebola epidemic. The normal breathing masks, as are frequently used in many countries in the Southeast Asia, are of no use because the virus is so small that it penetrates these masks as if they were not there at all. The respiratory masks used in these countries are only authorized against dust and street dirt, which of course makes sense in the overcrowded, that is to say overpopulated and dirty big cities. Furthermore, only sensible behavior, as described under the fundamentals, offers some protection. What can be done to prevent the virus from spreading? The quarantine measures currently being used by return travelers from China are completely inadequate in view of the possible transmission times, above all because the separation of 2 weeks is far too short. In addition, the quarantine must have to be absolutely hermetic, which means that even those who come into contact with the suspected quarantined cases should be protected with full body protection and appropriate breathing apparatus, and with the necessary safety precautions such as locks, etc. Because indeed it does not only infect itself, that is oneself, but the virus also spread by clothes, the air, body touch, and in some cases arguably also via the food. It would be sensible not to bring back any nationals from China or the neighboring countries where the virus has already broken out to their home countries until the virus has been completely defeated in the affected countries. Likewise, all affected areas should be hermetically sealed, and every entry into and exit of the restricted area, respectively the affected states, are to be restricted. At the very least, it should be regulated in such a way that whoever enters the restricted area, for whatever reason, may no longer leave till the virus is no longer active and diseases and infections can no longer occur. Containment at the last second is probably no longer achievable with all available forces, said Berlin-based virologist Christian Drosten on Sunday, February 23rd, to the German press agency, which is absolutely correct, since it can be assumed that the virus will spread worldwide much more widespread than it already is. In order to curb the release and spread of the virus and to prevent its spread worldwide, the WHO should have immediately proclaimed a pandemic risk immediately after the first diseases became known, and had to take the appropriate measures. That is, appropriate measures, which would have to be a isolation, that is to say, a sealing off of the affected areas, namely in the form that no one is allowed to enter or leave the country where the virus appeared until it can be eradicated or become inactive by itself. Unfortunately, the WHO's unassertive tactic of treading on nobody's feet and not wanting to make itself unpopular have proven to be completely irresponsible, because it did not consider the right and appropriate measures at all. Or reporters say that a pandemic begins when a plague has killed 100 people in one country and at least 3 infected people have appeared abroad. Until here. Individuals who like to download this script can do so in the link below. Thank you for helping and spread the information.